Prime time on a Thursday night. Hope everybody is enjoying as much as you can enjoy Thursday night football. Hope you're ready to spend some time on this Titans and Colts game while we get you through halftime of the Panthers and the Texans. We'll spend some time on why this is absolutely a must-win opportunity for the Tennessee Titans to put a division rival and probably their greatest threat in the division down at already week 3 of the season. We'll spend some time on an interesting quarterback carousel in the NFL, and we'll do a Brymac bounce back before we get you back to Thursday night football. A lot of things to talk about over the course of tonight's show, and we welcome your participation. So, in that sense, I need you to share the show. That's the first way that you can participate. You can retweet the show in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. We invite you to do that and get your Twitter friends involved. If that's where you're viewing with us, if you're on Facebook Live, you can share now to public. That's in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. If you are on YouTube or on Twitch, please subscribe to the A to Z Sports channel where you can get our live stream content 7 days a week. And now that more of you are here, we can go ahead and begin the show officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on a Thursday. I'm your host, Buck Rising. Proud as always to be presented to you by the fine folks at Two Rivers Ford. I got distracted before I said the DraftKings Sportsbook Studios because people are asking me, did I delete my tweet? Well, I'll talk about that here in just a second. If you'll give me a moment to get started. Two Rivers Ford is the place that you go for the Built For You program. Two Rivers Ford is the best in the business. Find out more about their great vehicles at tworiversford.com or go pay them a visit in Mount Juliet. Of course, DraftKings Sportsbook and the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app is how you can get involved in all the action. Promo code A to Z Sports gets you great odds and profit boosts using that promo code A2Z Sports. Of course, Gary Ashton and the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage is where you can go for your dream address without the stress. And of course, Brymac Mechanical gets you satisfaction guaranteed on all of your HVAC needs at Brymac.com. So let's talk about the Titans and the Colts and why this is an absolute must-win situation for Tennessee. Now, any win or any game you would say is a must-win. There's no such thing as a don't need it loss, right? There are only so many opportunities that you have, and this one particularly in the division. But it's setting up so perfectly for the Titans. And listen, last time it set up perfectly for the Titans, they have a tendency to have letdowns in these games, and that's just not necessarily a streak that I know how to identify or what's the root cause of it, but it happens, right? This is why so many of you are scared of Colts backup quarterbacks because you've been conditioned to think the Titans lose to Colts backup quarterbacks. But anyway, Carson Wentz is probably not going to play in this game. Now, it remains to be seen as of yet, but it's looking like it's going to be Brett Hundley in all likelihood as the starter, and then Jacob Eason also in some spurts. But right now, they're splitting time with Hundley, who's on the practice squad, getting a lot more of the reps. So the question becomes, who should Titans fans most want to see at quarterback for the Colts, Jacob Eason or Brett Hundley? Let me know your Two Rivers Ford take, and we'll talk about it together over the course of this evening's show. Which quarterback would Titans fans rather see on Sunday, Jacob Eason or Brett Hundley? Let me know on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. While you do that, I'll tell you about our friends at Two Rivers Ford who have the Built For You program. Two Rivers Ford is the best in the business. Two Rivers Ford is where you go for the non-commissioned sales staff for the Built For You program that allows you to pick out any Ford, any color, with any customizable accessories. If it's not on the lot when you visit them in Mount Juliet, they will get it put together for you. They will bring it directly to your door. It's one of the many reasons why Two Rivers Ford wins the Ford's President's Award many, many times over. In fact, I believe 14 times for exceptional customer service because it's all about the customer at Two Rivers Ford. Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com. So who would Titans fans rather see quarterbacking the Colts on Sunday at Nissan Stadium? Well, I had, so for those of you who listen to Titans radio, you know Dave McGinnis. Well, the Colts version of Dave McGinnis is my good friend, Coach Rick Venturi, who actually worked on the same staff with Todd Downing at St. Louis. So he knows the Titans offense and the Titans personnel and the Titans coaching staff quite well. He knows the Titans quite well for all the time that he spent with the Colts organization. So Coach Venturi came on my radio show today on 104.5 The Zone, and we talked to Coach about what these two quarterbacks are and, which one best suits this particular game.
At this point, Coach, right? It's Brett Hundley taking a lot of the snaps with the starters, according to the reports, and I'm sure that's been the observation as well. Despite him being on the practice squad, he does have NFL starting experience in a couple of games. And then there's Jacob Eason, who did fill in when Carson Wentz went down with the injury. What can Titans fans expect from these two players, who they may actually see both of against the Titans on Sunday?
Well, they're actually complete opposites, to be honest with you. Eason, who basically took the majority of the first team snaps in training camp, because really, you got to remember, Carson was out. He really didn't, after the first 2 days of training camp, he was out.
Yeah.
So Eason took the majority of first team snaps. Ellinger kind of came on late and took some, but basically it was Eason who took most of it. And, he's kind of a classic throwback, kind of an Osweiler type guy, tall. I mean, he's got a shotgun. I mean, really, there isn't any throw that he can't make. He's got some athleticism. He's not going to be one of these modern day running quarterbacks, but he can really fire it to the outside of the field. He doesn't have experience one. I mean, he has never been in an NFL game for real. So you kind of have the classic big arm kid, without any experience. And then when you go with Hundley, it's really just the opposite. You've got a guy that has started some games, that has been on NFL rosters and NFL teams, and he doesn't have the gun by any sense, any stretch that Eason has. But he's a very mobile guy. He's a guy that can get out on the perimeter. He can extend plays. He can make things happen. So, I think regardless of what's in the deep recesses of Frank's mind, and I know he has it in his mind, he's going to make sure that the Titans have to get ready for two styles, to be honest with you. And then, it'll unfold. We are seeing a little bit of two-back quarterback system in the league. Maybe he does that. We'll find out soon enough.
So that is Rick Venturi, former Colts linebacking coach, now their version of Coach Dave McGinnis on the Colts radio network, breaking down the two quarterbacks that the Titans will likely see both of on Sunday. So who would you rather see quarterbacking the Colts for the advantage of the Titans? We'll talk about it here in just a second, right after I remind you of DraftKings Sportsbook. Now, week 3 is officially underway, and you can get in on all the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. They're kicking off another week of action by giving all new customers a can't-miss offer. Bet just $1 on any football game this week and receive $150 in free bets instantly, no matter what. You can also swing big with same-game parlays that allow you to combine multiple bets for a bigger payout. This week, place a same-game parlay on any NFL game, and you will be credited up to $25 if your bet loses. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code A2Z Sports to receive $150 in free bets instantly when you place a $1 bet on any football game. That's promo code A2Z Sports to get $150 in free bets instantly this week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee to bet. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789. So, who would you rather see on Sunday? Clayton Smith says he'd rather see Eason on YouTube. Jordan on Twitter says the unknown with Eason and the big arm is scarier. Well, so no, I would disagree. Because you are game planning for somebody who there's not a ton of NFL tape on, right? But you heard what Coach Venturi said about him. He compared him to Brock Osweiler. Brock Osweiler is not something to be feared just because his arm is scarier. In fact, actually, Osweiler was the rare, quarterback of that stature that it wasn't a shotgun, it was a noodle arm. But he looks and moves like Brock Osweiler. Listen, I'm not looking at Brett Hundley and saying that he's any kind of any kind of great quarterback, but I do believe that at least 9 NFL starts gives you an idea of how to read defenses. He's been in the league for longer. He's seen more defenses. He'll understand how to handle at more than Jacob Eason will a situation that he gets into against an improving Titans defense. I won't say that they're good, given that they continue to give up these explosive plays. Walt Meck says it won't matter who's playing quarterback for them, Buck Rising. Well, Walt Meck, I think it very much matters who's playing quarterback for them because you've played down to the level of competition before. If you're a Titans fan, you know that's true, and you don't want that to happen against a team that you should very easily beat and that you need to beat. Because if you can put the Colts in an 0-3 hole 3 weeks into the season, you're sitting pretty with a divisional win and waiting, licking your lips until you can go up there on Halloween and beat them in Indianapolis and really try and end any competition for the AFC South, kill it in its crib. Let's move on to the quarterback carousel because I'm watching a backup quarterback try and get up and down for the Houston Texans tonight in Davis Mills. He of the giraffe neck. 7-6, the score in Thursday night football with the Panthers and the Texans, and we'll get you back to that game here shortly. But the question that I want to ask you about the quarterback situation in the NFL is there's some interesting ones. So I want to know which NFL team has the most interesting quarterback situation through 3 weeks. Let me know in the comment section. We'll talk about it together. While you guys do that, I'll tell you about the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage at GaryAshton.com. Your dream address without the stress is what the Ashton team offers to you. The situation with the Ashton team, the official real estate agency of the Tennessee Titans, is GaryAshton.com. The Gary Ashton tailgate will be out in front of the south end zone at Nissan Stadium on Sunday. So make sure that you're out there tailgating. Music, cornhole, I'll be out there. Luke Worsham will be out there. Make sure that you come stop by, take a picture with the Ashton trailer, and tweet it at us. We'll make sure that we share it around on social media. So Jonathan Donahue says, you ask a question and then more advertising. Well, Jonathan, I do. Normally, it's not that many. Normally, it's not this rapid fire, but I know that people want to watch Thursday night football. And so I was trying to do that out of courtesy to you. But if you guys want to stay here and talk about this more at length, I'm happy to slow down the show. I just figured it was the opinion of the majority of people to want to get back to the football game, given that we are, and maybe you don't find the football game that interesting. And if that's the case, then I'm happy to keep going. I got plenty of time. I just figured you guys would rather watch football, but that's okay. We'll hang with you as long as you want to hang with us. This is a bad game, says Puka. Did you see that CMC is out, says Lucas? Yes, I did see that Christian McCaffrey is out, and I'll be talking about that on the radio show tomorrow, how much more durable Derrick Henry is than all these second contract running backs like Christian McCaffrey. And I hate that happened to Christian McCaffrey. I truly do. So let's continue this conversation with the quarterbacks in the league, which is the most interesting situation in the NFL right now. Lewis Chesney says the Jets. Yeah, but the Jets, there's no competition. It's been Zach Wilson since day one. Puka says probably the Colts. Good team in search of a quarterback. I believe Jimmy Garoppolo to be a future Colts quarterback because I think they're just waiting for Jimmy to slip up Alex Smith style so they can put Trey Lance in and start winning. Josh says the Dolphins, but I mean, it is if they would have traded for Deshaun Watson, right? And they obviously are not going to trade for Deshaun Watson at this point. So without that, I mean, it's it's Tua and Jacoby Brissett, and there's no great mystery between who they're going to stick with. Now, in future seasons, if Deshaun Watson gets cleared of the legal issues and provided that he doesn't have jail time that he may be associated with, I think that for Deshaun Watson, that does become a much more interesting conversation. Van Jeffrey says, carry on, Buck. We good. We like you. The hell with that game. Yeah, I'm with you. The hell with this game. This is not a good game tonight. I'm surprised no one picked up Cam Newton yet with all the quarterback injuries, says Larry Ford. I mean, I'm really not. Cam's kind of done. And I think that the NFL told you that the first time around. In fact, he's pretty lucky that the Patriots picked him up when he did. So which is the most interesting quarterback situation? Now, Master Jedi 55 says the Steelers, and that's a conversation that started to bubble up last year, right? Where you're looking at Ben and you're looking at the surgically reconstructed elbow and you're looking at how that offense is kind of, sputtering, even though I think they made it to, was it 11-0 or 12? It might have been 12-0 before they ended up losing a game last year. And then they their season kind of spiraled pretty quickly. But, they are much closer, and they have Dwayne Haskins on that roster, which I find interesting because I think Dwayne Haskins, under the right circumstances, and Pittsburgh's a really good place for somebody who's trying to rehab their career like that, like Dwayne Haskins is. So I find that an interesting situation. But no, I think the most interesting is what's happening in Chicago, because I saw that Andy Dalton has been ruled out and that Justin Fields is going to start this weekend.
What was your initial reaction when Matt told you that, yes, you're going to be starting Sunday?
I think it was, pretty much even killed. I think I had a good idea that I was, might possibly start. So I wasn't really surprised by it, but just kind of focused and just trying to get prepared for Sunday.
So that's Justin Fields, who's going to start for the Chicago Bears on Sunday. Andy Dalton's got a bone bruise, and I hate it for Andy Dalton because it was really cool to see him like rooting on his teammate from the sideline after he had to leave with the injury. And Justin Fields, I don't want to see him be ruined because that Bears offensive line is terrible, like really, really bad. So that's my biggest concern with all these rookie quarterbacks. The Jets offensive line is bad. The Bears offensive line is bad. San Francisco, Trey Lance, if he does end up playing at some point this season, is in a really good spot. Shrike says, still think Green Bay, which is curious because, he's going to be gone next year in all likelihood, Aaron Rodgers. He's all but requested a trade, and they found a way to work through that situation and kind of patch things up between Rodgers and management. But ultimately, what that bears out is a circumstance where for Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love, it's just a matter of time, and do the Packers double down in this regard and try and get him to stay on, because he looked very much more like the Aaron Rodgers that we're used to than he did in week one. It might be us if Tanny goes down, says Harold S. Rucker. Yeah, but that's not the job that's up for grabs, right? Like, that's not even interesting. Like, the Titans are just going to suck if Ryan Tannehill goes down. It'll look like when Marcus Mariota was quarterbacking. Like, Derrick Henry won't have explosive plays. There will be explosive plays, but they will be far, far fewer. There will be inaccurate passes. There will be injuries because of hospital balls. If you lose Tannehill, your season ends. So that's not interesting. That's dead on arrival. Like, Chicago is interesting because Justin Fields may give them a better chance to win. I think outside of Chicago, it's San Francisco, because I think that is an Alex Smith type situation where, Jimmy Garoppolo is fine. Jimmy Garoppolo has been playing winning football and has a great career record. But Trey Lance is probably better, probably does more for Kyle Shanahan, what Kyle Shanahan is looking for. And I think that is a situation where the starter might play well and still get pulled. So I find that fascinating from my standpoint. If they argue about Tannehill, they're not fans. Chris Frazier. Yeah, well, nobody's arguing about Tannehill. I think Harold's just saying if Tannehill goes down. But yeah, like I said, if Tannehill goes down, your season goes down. Because without the quarterback, Derrick Henry is great, but Derrick Henry is not what Derrick Henry is without a quarterback. Facts says Chris Frazier, Marcus was horrible. Marcus got broken, and Marcus became bad at professional football, and he didn't help you win games through the air, which is what you need your quarterback to do. And you need to have command, and you need to have confidence. And by the end of it, Marcus didn't have any of those things. So for me, I would say Chicago is probably the most interesting situation. Actually, let me flip that. I think San Francisco is the most interesting, but Chicago, whether they ever go back to Andy Dalton after this, will also be another one where, it's not the guy's fault that he got hurt. And Justin Fields is probably going to look much better as a mobile quarterback behind an offensive line that can't move. So let's do a Brymac bounce back, and let's wrap up this evening and get you guys back to the football game. I want to know on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, I would like to know who needs to bounce back most this weekend. This is what we do every Thursday heading into the sports weekend. We have seen results come and go. We have seen performances good and bad. But of the ones who need to perform better, who most needs to bounce back this weekend? Give me your answer on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. We'll talk about it together right after I tell you about Brymac Mechanical. Satisfaction guaranteed on all of your HVAC needs. BRYMAK, Brymac.com. They will put you in your comfort zone. They will put you in a position to get ready for the changings of the season. It feels very, very much like fall these last 2 days. That means the temperatures are dropping. It means you need your heating system up to par and ready to go for when the weather turns. BRYMAK, Brymac Mechanical at Brymac.com. So, who needs to bounce back this weekend? Let me know in the comments section. Valentino says Lawan, and I think that's going to be a popular nominee. Lee Hobbs and Harold both agree. Stephen Cato says A.J. Brown. I think that's a good candidate here locally. Corey Smith says, hate to say this, but the Colts absolutely need a bounce back. It would be huge for Indianapolis to be able to get a win at Tennessee and do what, at least try and split this series when they are struggling right now with the health of not just the quarterback, but their offensive line and running game haven't performed up to par either. Lewis Chesney says Detroit. Yeah, Detroit sucked. I don't know that they're capable of doing much this season. Bizarro PK says Shane Bowen. 30 points is still too much. And yeah, I think that if they can get the coverage busts nailed down, because that was a real problem against Seattle. But with Bradley McDougald gone, I guess they think they have a better chance to keep those things from happening. Got to be the offensive line for Timothy Sumners. He's talking about the Titans' offensive line. They need protection, and Henry's got to get lanes to open up. Ramon Foster, says Jeremy Graham, at guessing birthday. What do you mean guessing birthdays? Is that something that Ramon does? I'm unfamiliar with the guessing of the birthdays, but I assume that Ramon's not good at it if you're nominating him for a bounce back candidate. Brad Lifford says, I do. I do, says Brad. He needs to bounce back. He sees he needs to he had Montezuma's revenge, is the polite way of putting it, from all the grilled squirrel he ate over the weekend. Well, I don't know if that's leaning into an insult that was hurled at good and noble Tennesseans from that ridiculous podcasting fool yesterday that accused us all of being hill people and eating squirrel sandwiches. But I hope that your bowel movements get corrected, Brad, because that sounds unpleasant. Yes, Ramon missing birthday is so funny, says Puka. I'll have to check that out on J. Martin Ramon before my show starts. Let's see. If you had to bet, would you expect Caleb Farley to play this year? Yeah, I think he's going to play. I mean, he played last week. No, I'm sorry. He didn't play last week. He played in week 1. So he's already played this season. But are you asking me if he's going to do more than blowout duty if they're getting blown out or they're blowing somebody out, or playing special teams? I don't have an answer for you right now, because it's clear they don't think he's capable of that. And right now he's not even practicing. He's been ruled out 2 straight days with a shoulder injury. So, I mean, you can't ask if I expect him to play, because he's already played, if that makes sense. No, the bounce back candidate for me is South Carolina, because I hope South Carolina loses more games. Not because I have any ill will towards South Carolina, but because Shane Beamer, who is the new head coach down there, Frank Beamer's son, his press conference this week was hilarious when he was asked about what Georgia did to South Carolina up front on Saturday.
Georgia's a defensive line. What were they doing to maybe make things difficult on the offense?
They've got 105-star football players on their defense. They have a defensive lineman that weighs 340 pounds and runs better than everybody on this call. They've got 5-star defensive backs. They're big and physical and fast. I mean, other than that, they're really freaking good. That's why they have the top defense in the country. They're hard to run the football on. So there wasn't some magical scheme they came out with tonight. They got 5-star recruits everywhere, and they play really physical. Damn.
Everything about that clip is magical. I love the way that he just slowly gets more and more ramped up, and this just completely disgusted with the question, as if the reporters didn't see exactly what he saw. Top tier presser, says the GOAT CJ2K. Yeah, it's laugh out loud funny at this point. That was pretty sure it does. It's on the record. It's on the record as a loss. So yes, it counts, says Timothy Sumners. I'm not sure what Timothy is talking about in that regard. Pain can be funny, says Puka. Yes, oftentimes it is, especially when it's others' expense. Jag social media team, says Shrike. That's a good nominee for, basically putting out a message after week 2 saying, stick with us. We're going to get better. And then, they're probably going to suck again this weekend. Stephen Cato says, I hope my Gators run all over Georgia. Well, they're not playing Georgia this week. They're playing Tennessee, which will be interesting. It would be great to see a competitive Tennessee football team in the swamp, even though they are a 20-point underdog when last I looked at the line. But we don't need to bounce back because we've had a great show. And I'm glad that we hung a little longer because this Thursday night football game appears to be wretched. And I'm glad that you guys stuck with us. We'll be back with you on Sunday night, live from Nissan Stadium after the Titans host the Colts in that game. And I look forward to getting into all of those things. The radio show tomorrow, we're loaded. We've got John Reed of Fox Sports Knoxville. We'll talk about the Vols and the Gators. We've got Chris Sanders, former Oilers and Titans wide receiving great, will be on the show because it's homecoming week for the Oilers at this Colts game, and Coach Dave McGinnis, who will break down the Titans and the Colts for us at 12:20. So make sure that you're hanging out with us on the radio show. Lots of good content out there for you. I've got Titans radio pregame as well from 9 to 10 a.m. Central Time, live from Nissan Stadium. So if you're going to the game, come by the tent and say hi. I'll be posted up right in front of the pro shop before I walk in and cover some football. And I hope that it's a good game. But even if it's not, I'll be there to talk about it with you on Sunday night on the A to Z Sports Primetime Show. So enjoy your weekend, and we'll see each other then, if not before, via the radio.